All right, so I promised there would be an actual lesson today, and I created a worksheet for you online. If you have any problems with your worksheet, send me a message. It is going to be a pretty busy day for Mrs. Young, so I will do my very best to get back to you as quickly as possible. You can always do research if you can at least see the questions. It's always good to write on paper. So I have several of you that actually do that. You go ahead and you either print and write, or you just write the stuff on blank notebook paper and do your own work. And that's always really, really good. Something about connections between the act of writing by hand and then it actually puts the stuff in your memory better. It's like making those electrical connections in the brain seem to really, really happen if we're writing the material. And knowing that we've got 10 days left till our EOC, any little thing that we can do to make more connections is always a great idea. All right, so I promised today we're going to talk about tropisms, those responses, and most importantly, those hormones. So you have a worksheet. It's a 2-page worksheet. The first thing you have is just your definition of tropisms, which you also wrote into your plant systems foldable. And that is that those are responses a plant will make in response to external stimulus. It could be light, it could be touch, it could be water, even gravity, which I think is really cool. I was reading some other types of tropisms out there. Some plants will even respond to electrical stimulus. We're not going to study that one though, just so you know there's more than what we talk about here, just because plants are really a lot cooler than a lot of people give them credit for. So it does say after completing the card sort, answer the following questions to help increase understanding of this stimulus response in the environment for plants. I did not create the card sort. Basically, that's your cheat sheet. What we should have done is taken those 3 columns, cut them up, and then you should have matched tropism with a response to an external stimulus, and then just one of the pictures that was provided. I felt like since we've been studying this, we could go ahead and just use it as a cheat sheet and move forward just studying because we really want to learn about hormones today. So for your questions, I want you to answer without me telling you what are the types of stimulus plants might respond to. So what are you aware of? What did you learn in middle school? What have you studied already in the plant unit just for the 3 days we've been studying plants? Then, what are the 4 categories under which tropisms can be classified? This is just going to be the 4 that we're studying. So if you take a peek at your other side of your paper, or for online students, your second page, it gives you the 4 categories. I will give you my favorite, thigmotropism. That would fall under the category of touch. So the stimulus would be touch. So I'll have you do the other 3. Then they want you to think about how the 4 tropisms of plants are similar to responses of the human body. So think about how you respond to touch. How do you respond to light? That sort of thing. And kind of think about those systems and what's at work there for you as a human and having systems. And then think about those plants, which are pretty crazy cool. Okay, next up is the big long table. We have something called phototropism, and this is a plant's response to light. What's cool is we have this Latin root called photo, and it means light. So what I'm doing is you could take a highlighter. I have a very broken yellow pencil here, and I'm just highlighting in yellow because we tend to associate the color yellow with light. And then what hormones would be involved for phototropism? So hopefully we know phototropism is a plant's response to light. If you've forgotten, you could just say a plant's response to light or radiant energy. Radiant energy. My G's tend to look really weird. I'm trying to make them look nice for you. Then what about auxin? Well, auxin is a hormone that controls the movement of a plant. And for phototropism, what happens is it controls how the plant will curve. So we'll say controls how the plant will curve. It tells the cells to grow and they will lengthen. So tells the cells to grow and lengthen. So this auxin will actually have the plant cells. It will go to the shady side of the plant, and then it will cause the cells on the shady side of the plant to become longer. They'll grow faster, and that causes a lengthening on the shady side of the plant because there's more auxin hormone there, and it causes that bend. So if we were to illustrate that with, so how does that look if we want to draw it out? Well, we would have some sunshine up above. My pencil is starting to lose its lead, so I'm just going to draw a quick sunshine in the corner. And then notice the rays are kind of coming at an angle from the left side. So then what my plant cells would do, they would actually get longer on this side as it's bending, and then these ones would not be as long, but my plant would be bending. There you go. So it's not a perfect drawing. I never ask for perfect drawings because I myself am not the best at it. Just going to fill that in with some green, make myself a green plant. Here we go. And we see that it's starting to bend towards the light. All right, so I also added some words. I keep getting interrupted, so I have to pause every few minutes. The shady side is longer with more auxin on this side, and this is the sunny side. So it's going to be shorter. Now, explain how the plant will react based on the response. So if a plant is exposed to light, auxin will be sent to the shady side, lengthening the cells, causing to bend toward the light. If you're typing, it fits better. If you're making your own table, it fits better. I always write too big for the boxes. Okay, next up is something called thigmotropism. So thigmotropism is a response to touch. So thigmo, this is my way of highlighting, means to touch. Thigmo is to touch. Tropism is a response to an external stimulus. Again, the hormone involved is auxin. So here we could just quickly write a plant's response to touch. So they'll actually touch something. The stems or leaves, tendrils typically are sent out. Tendrils sense an object. would then move toward that object. Typically by touch first, so the tendril touches. There are a few studies out there that have shown where they kind of do this weird spinny thing, as almost like they're trying to sense literally where an object would be, and then a vine would start to grow towards the object. Then that tendril touches, and then it wraps around. But that's very early studies. So for now, what we do know is once that tendril or the branch or the modified leaf touches the object, then it will start to move more towards that object, and the tendril will wrap around, allowing it to shorten and pull the plant up for support. So what the auxin will do is it will control the movement. When the plant detects the object and wraps around. Wraps around it. Around the object. I don't like saying it. What is it? Is what I kept getting when I was doing my master's. So I have to put the word. So if we're going to draw thigmotropism, we should draw some sort of an object to be touched, a tree or a fence, and then a vine with the tendril that will wrap around. I'm going to pause to draw, and then I'll show you the drawing, and then we're going to stop the video, and then the next two will be a separate video. All right, so I have a small cross section of fence. I made a small vine that was on the ground. I'll even give you some soil here. So he's coming from the ground, and the little tendril sends the fence, and then the auxin helped the roots curve around. So auxin helps the roots, not really the roots, right? That's more like the tendrils. Let's write tendrils. Wrap around object. Here the object is a fence. All right, so last little thing, then we'll stop this video. If a plant is touching against a fence or post, then auxin will be sent to the tendril to wrap. It helps with that movement. Remember, it's causing that bending to happen, and it's a really big bend to wrap around the fence or post. So if you live in an area where there are vines, you could go out and look and see, well, how is it wrapping around? Is it using tendrils, which is just little filament looking things off of a plant? Or is the whole plant wrapping around that fence or that post? Just some things to just observing things around us out in nature. Okay, so that's our first two tropisms with hormones defined and some illustrations, which always help us to get the big picture.